The old cargo ship floated near the edge of a dead moon, broken and cold. Its hull was covered in black scars. Like it had gone through a war, no one survived. No signal came from it for years, until now. Cole, a human engineer and scavenger, docked his small shuttle at the side hatch. The ship's nameplate was half melted, but one word was still clear: Seratrix. He wore a thick suit with oxygen lines and a small plasma cutter on his side. The job was simple: investigate the signal, grab anything valuable, and leave. But something felt wrong the moment he stepped inside. The halls were dark, lit only by the flickering emergency lights. Metal panels hung from the ceiling, and dust floated in the air like ash. It was silent, too silent. Not even the low hum of power or machines. Just the soft echo of his boots on the floor. He turned on his wrist scanner and followed the signal. It led him deeper into the ship, through twisted corridors and open bulkheads. As he passed by a shattered control room, he saw strange burn marks on the walls, like something exploded from inside. Then he heard it. A soft voice, broken and weak, whispered through his gums, "Open the door, human. Free me." Cole stopped walking. His eyes went wide. He looked around, but the hallway was empty. "Repeat," he said, his voice shaky. "Who is this?" No reply came, but after a few seconds, the voice whispered again, "Please, I'm still alive. They locked me in. I didn't do anything." Cole followed the voice, his hands shaking slightly. It sounded like a young girl, but the tone was strange, almost musical. He passed another locked door. Then a shattered medical bay. Inside, beds were tossed over, and the walls were scratched. With claw marks, his heart pounded in his chest. The signal got stronger. His scanner showed life signs, just one behind a thick door labeled Biogen Containment. Level 7. It was sealed tight with red warning lights flashing above. "Are you in there?" Cole asked, placing a hand on the cold metal. "Yes." "Please, I'm scared. Don't leave." He hesitated. The control panel was old, but functional. He used his wrist tool to hack the system. It took a few tries, but finally, the lights turned green. The metal door slid open with a slow hiss inside. The room was cold, almost frozen. A single cryochamber stood in the center. Covered in frost, inside it floated a girl not more than 16. By appearance, her skin was light purple with glowing lines, like tiny rivers running through her body. Her eyes were closed, but they flickered like she was dreaming. "Lyra," she whispered again through the speaker. "My name is Lyra." Cole stepped closer. Her eyes opened suddenly, glowing bright blue. She looked at him with fear but also hope. "They wanted to cut me open," she said softly. "I'm not like the others. My DNA is different." Cole's mouth went dry. He had heard of black research ships, places where experiments were done in secret. But this was a living person trapped in a frozen cell. "You're human?" she asked, eyes wide. "You're not with them?" "No," Cole said. "I'm just a scavenger. You have to help me, please. They'll come back. They always come back." Cole looked around the room. There were broken monitors, files thrown on the ground, and one log still blinking on the screen. Subject number 7. Genetic activation reached. Contain immediately. He read the last few lines. Subject shows rapid adaptation and regenerative abilities beyond control. All crew advised to avoid contact. Secure containment until off-world transport arrives. Warning: do not engage without support. Suddenly, Cole felt a chill run down his spine. Lyra spoke again, her voice trembling. "I never hurt anyone. I only ran when I found out what they planned." The ship shook slightly. Cole turned, checking his scanner. Something was docking with the ship. Another shuttle, not his, and not friendly. "Someone's coming," he said. Lyra looked at him, panic in her eyes. "They'll take me again." or kill me this time. Please, human, open the cryo chamber. Cole stared at her, frozen for a moment, then his fingers moved to the release panel. His heart pounded as he reached for the button. He didn't know what Lyra really was, but she didn't sound like a monster. Just a scared girl begging for help. He whispered, "Hold on," and pressed the release. Steam hissed as the chamber opened, and Lyra's body fell into his arms, weak but breathing, behind them. Footsteps echoed through the halls. The hunt had begun. Cole tightened his grip around Lyra's frail body as the chamber hissed open. Her skin was cold, almost ice, and her body trembled against his chest. She tried to stand but couldn't, her legs giving out under her weight. He looked down and saw strange patterns glowing along her arms, like tiny veins of light pulsing with life. He didn't have time to ask questions. The ship rumbled again, a heavier vibration this time. Not just the sound of systems waking up. Cole's scanner blinked red. A new vessel had docked. Bigger than his own. No transponder signal, no communication silent entry. That only meant one thing: they were here for her. Lyra opened her eyes, weak and glassy. They tracked my DNA. They won't stop. Then we need to hide, Cole said, sliding his arm around her waist to help her move. She stumbled beside him as he guided her out of the containment chamber. Lights flickered again, brighter now, as if the ship itself was waking up in warning. They took a narrow side passage, away from the main route. The path twisted downward. A service tunnel lined with maintenance pipes and grated floors. Cole remembered the layout. These old cargo ships had a backup data core hidden in engineering. Maybe it had answers. Lyra gasped. "You're risking your life." "You shouldn't." "You said you didn't do anything wrong," Cole answered. "And if they want you this badly, it means you're important." "That makes you my problem now." She stared at him with confusion, like no one had ever said those words to her before. For a second, her eyes shimmered, not glowing, but wet. They reached the small engineering deck, most systems long dead. But the backup terminal still blinked faintly. Cole placed Lyra down against a wall and connected his tool to the port. The screen buzzed to life, old logs loaded one by one. Some corrupted, others scrambled, but one file opened clean. Project Echo Seed. Subject number 7. Cole scanned the logs quickly, his heart sinking with every line. Subject DNA derived from recovered relics near the Lithra ruins. Gene strands self-repair, self-adapt, able to mimic and alter surrounding tissue. Potential for universal genetic compatibility, could heal, evolve, or destroy biological systems within seconds. Recommended status: contain, control, or terminate. He looked at Lyra, who now sat quietly with her knees drawn to her chest. Shivering, she didn't look like a threat, not even close. She looked like a child who had never known safety. "You didn't ask to be created like this," Cole said softly. "I was born in a cage," Lyra whispered. "My parents sold me. When I started glowing, they said I was dangerous. They said I'd bring death to the whole colony." The ship shook again, harder. Something heavy had landed. A red emergency light blinked in the hallway. Cole's scanner picked up Movement 3 heat signatures moving fast. "Fully armed, they're inside," he said. "We need to go." Lyra tried to stand again. Cole helped her up. This time she held on to him with surprising strength. They moved through another shaft entrance that opened behind the engine core. It was dark, barely wide enough for two people to move side by side. Pipes hissed with leftover pressure as they crawled through. Suddenly, Lyra gripped his arm tightly. "Wait," she said. "I can hear them. They're close. You hear them? They think in numbers. They don't speak like you. I hear the plan in their heads." Cole blinked, confused, but said nothing. He trusted his gut, and it told him to keep moving. They reached a narrow access tube that led to the shuttle bay the one Cole used to dock earlier. As they stepped inside, they heard boots slam into the floor above them, voices now clear through the vents. Secure the target, Asset 7. Must not escape again. Use tranquil rounds, no lethal shots unless necessary. Cole gritted his teeth. They want you alive, but not unharmed. Lyra clutched his jacket, her voice low. If they take me, I won't survive this time. I won't let them, Cole promised. Suddenly, the lights above the corridor flashed, then turned red. The entire ship began sealing sections. Lyra stared up at the pipes, eyes glowing bright again. Her skin shimmered with strange light patterns. I touched the systems, she said softly. They respond to me now. The ship groaned, and the path behind them sealed shut. Locking out the approaching soldiers, Cole turned to her. Stunned, "You're controlling the ship?" "Not fully," she said. "But it knows I'm not a prisoner anymore." Cole pulled her through the hatch into the bay. His small shuttle stood ready. Still untouched, for now, but they both knew this wasn't over, as he opened the hatch and helped her inside. Lyra paused and looked back at the dying ship. "They'll come with more," she whispered. "They always do." Cole climbed in after her and sealed the hatch. "Then we'll make sure they regret it." Engines hummed beneath them as the shuttle powered on. Shadows flickered in the corner of the Baymore troops. Maybe drones, but the shuttle lifted. Just in time. Outside, the blackness of space opened before them. But the real darkness was just beginning. The shuttle jolted hard as it broke free from the dying ship, sparks trailing behind like a falling star in the void. Cole gripped the controls tighter than he should have, guiding the small vessel into open space. But their escape hadn't gone. Unnoticed, a sleek black fighter turned from the wreck and locked onto them, its scanner lighting up red across his screen. Lyra sat quietly behind him, still pale, her breathing shallow. Her body was covered in faint glowing lines, like her blood carried starlight. She leaned her head against the wall, whispering something in a language he couldn't understand. "Ah?" Sharp alarm rang in the cockpit. The enemy ship had locked weapons. Cole slammed the throttle forward, pushing the shuttle into a steep dive toward the nearby asteroid field. The rocks were dense, irregular, but it was his only chance to shake the fighter. Laser blasts lit up behind them. Exploding against stone and metal, Cole twisted the controls, weaving through the maze of drifting boulders. Praying the old ship would hold together, the fighter clipped an outcrop behind them. Slowed just enough for Cole to hide the shuttle behind a rotating slab of rock. He powered everything down, heart racing. The enemy vessel scanned the area for a long moment, then veered off toward open space. Cole waited until it was gone before. Breathing again, they were alone. For now, Lyra stirred behind him, her voice hoarse. "You saved me again." Cole turned in his seat. "Barely. That stunt could have killed us both. What's happening to your body?" She looked at her hands, her veins glowing brighter now. The cryochamber slowed the changes, but it didn't stop them. "Now that I'm out, my DNA is unstable. It's evolving again." "You're burning up," he said, walking over to check her pulse. Her skin was too hot, even through his gloves. "I don't think I can survive much longer without help," she whispered. "They designed me to grow, to change, but they never finished the process." Cole stood, thinking fast. There was only one place nearby. A mining station abandoned years ago, old but still connected to deep system medical supplies. It was hidden on the dark side of the largest asteroid in the belt. He'd passed it once. During a salvage run, if it was still there, it could save her, or kill them both if anyone was watching. He set a course and didn't tell her the risk. She was already slipping between awareness and unconsciousness. Her body twitched now, and then, like her bones, didn't fit anymore. Or her blood carried instructions she couldn't control. The station appeared after 30 minutes. A rusted cylinder lodged deep into the asteroid surface. Its lights were off. But the docking port still showed signs of life. Barely, he eased the shuttle in, bracing for alarms or turrets, but nothing happened. Just the echo of their landing gear scraping metal. He carried Lyra in his arms, her body limp and pulsing with heat. Her skin glowed so bright now, it lit up the corridor walls. As they entered the station, the air inside was stale but breathable, lights flickering to life as they stepped forward. Her presence triggered something machines hummed. Doors opened without him touching them. They found the medbay half intact. Cole laid her down gently on the old treatment bed, wires and screens blinking faintly as her body reacted with the tech, she gasped, her back arching as a soft electric pulse moved through her chest. Her eyes shot open, glowing pure white for a second. Then fading, he stood by, helpless, watching as the station's systems synced to her body, not like a patient but. A command unit screens lit up in alien language, then shifted into English. It was like the place had been waiting for her. Then the floor shook beneath him. Cole drew his blaster out of instinct, spinning to ward the noise, but there was no one, not yet, just a deep humming sound coming from the lower decks. Something waking up. Lyra groaned, her hand reaching out. Blindly, something's coming, she whispered. I feel them. Through the dark. Cole looked at the security panel, eyes narrowing. Another ship had entered the system, a larger one this time. No ID, no signal. But heavy military class. It hadn't docked yet, but it was closing in. He didn't need a name to know what. It was. They'd found her again. He turned back to her. You said they track your DNA? Is there any way to stop it? She shook her head slowly. Only way is to change my signal. Complete the process they started. That could kill you, he said. She didn't answer. The door behind them opened slowly. Old hydraulics groaning, Cole aimed his weapon, but no one entered. Just shadows leaking in from the dark corridor. They didn't have much time left. He stood between her and the door, eyes on the darkness. The girl who begged him to open the door was no longer just a helpless child. She was becoming something else now. Something that might change everything, or destroy it. Cole locked the door behind him. Even though he knew it wouldn't hold if they truly wanted in. He didn't know who they were anymore. Scientists? Mercenaries? Government agents? Whatever name they used, they were hunters, and they wanted her as property, not a person. Lyra's skin was glowing like liquid silver now. Her breath was shallow, her eyes fluttering, and her veins pulsed with a strange blue light that moved under her skin like living wires. The medical bed she lay on wasn't just reacting to her, was obeying her, adapting, shifting its settings based on her changing biology. Cole watched as one of the broken wall panels lit up with a single line of text in blinking red. DNA. Finalization process and stable intervention required he tap the panel, but it shocked him lightly. Pushing his hand away, this wasn't a normal machine. Lyra was in control, half asleep, half in pain, but still in control. He stepped closer, brushing hair from her damp forehead. What do you need? He asked. How do I help you stabilize? She blinked slowly, lips dry. They made something. Serum. Blue vial, stops the burning. Where cryolab? Lower deck. Cole cursed under his breath. Of course, it wasn't close. Nothing ever was. He looked at the live scan. The enemy ship hadn't docked yet, but it was in orbit now, circling slowly. Like a shark watching blood in the water, he had minutes, maybe less. He grabbed his plasma cutter and sprinted out the medbay door, turning corners through the narrow halls of the old mining station. Dust floated in the air, lights flickering. Most of the doors didn't open until he reached the manned. He was beginning to suspect that was Lyra, too, guiding him even while she lay dying. He reached the cryolab, or what was left of it. Broken pods lined the room. Smashed screens and frozen bodies still sealed inside. Some of them, it stank of cold decay, but something pulsed in the back. A single glowing shelf with 3 vials. All blue, 1 cracked, 2 still sealed. He grabbed both, shoved them into his belt pouch, and turned to leave, then stopped. Someone was already in the doorway, a tall figure in black armor, visor glowing red. Silent and still, like a statue. Then another stepped behind him, then a third. Cole raised his plasma cutter, but knew it wouldn't help. "I'm not with her," he said. "I just found her by accident." The lead figure stepped forward. Voice filtered through a modulated speaker. "That's enough to make you guilty." Cole lunged sideways, blasting a coolant pipe with his cutter. White mist filled the room, cold and blinding. He ducked low and ran under their arms, shoulder crashing into one of them. He didn't look back, only ran. His lungs burned from the cold fog, his boots slipping on the metal floor. He made it to the medbay just as the sound of boots echoed behind him. Lyra lay motionless, her glow now so bright that the air around her shimmered with heat. Cole pulled the vial from his pouch, snapped the cap, and pressed it to her neck. The moment the serum entered her bloodstream, her body jerked violently. Her eyes opened wide, pupils glowing white, and the walls around them pulsed with light. The medbay doors slammed shut on their own, sealing just as the armored men reached the threshold. One of them pounded the panel, but the lock held. Cole backed away, staring at Lyra. Her body lifted slightly off the bed, not floating, but hovering like the air itself was holding her up. A low hum filled the room, coming from her. From the floor, the walls, everywhere. Then her feet touched down. She stood up, breathing steady. Now, her glow reduced to a soft pulse. She looked around like she was seeing the world for the first time. "I'm stable," she said quietly, "but different." Cole swallowed hard. "You changed. They finished their work without meaning to," she said. "The serum activated the dormant parts of me. I can feel the station like it's an extension of my body." Outside, the soldiers were trying to cut through the door, sparks flashing under the seams. Lyra turned her head slightly, eyes narrowing. "They shouldn't have followed me." The medbay lights turned red. Warning klaxons began blaring through the hallways. And then, one by one, the doors throughout the station began to slam shut. Cole could see the feed from the old security monitor traps activating, hallways sealing, lights cutting off section by section. He didn't know how she was doing it, but she was defending them, or maybe claiming the station itself. She turned to him again, voice calm. "You didn't run when you had the chance. Didn't feel right," he said. "Besides, I wanted to know what happens next." She smiled faintly, almost sadly. Then, "Stay close, human, because I don't know what I'm becoming. But they're going to fear it." The floor rumbled again, this time under her command. Cole knew then this was no longer just about escape. This was war, and she was the weapon they tried to bury alive. The station was no longer a hiding place, had become something else. Something alive. Lyra walked slowly through the corridor, her bare feet not making a sound, yet every panel lit up beneath her steps. The old steel walls no longer resisted her presence. They accepted it, adapted to her like she was part of their design all along. Cole followed her cautiously, his plasma cutter still in hand. Even though he doubted it would do much now, not against what she had become, not against the silent hunters still crawling somewhere in the sealed sections of the station. He watched her carefully, trying to find the girl who had begged for help in the cryochamber, but she was no longer that fragile thing. Her eyes were calm but distant, her skin still pulsing with light. Softer now, but always moving, like her veins carried electricity instead of blood. "Where are we going?" Cole asked. "To the core," she replied. "I need to see what's left of the original systems. There may be answers there." "About what I am." You said they created you. They shaped me, she corrected. But I wasn't made from nothing. Something came before. Older than their science, they tried to control it, but they never understood it. They walked in silence for a moment, passing broken labs and hollow chambers. The remains of forgotten machines stared at them like frozen ghosts. Cole could hear the distant sound of metal boots scraping somewhere behind the walls. Maybe tracking them, maybe not. The station kept shifting, its layout subtly changing. Always opening the right doors, closing the wrong ones. It was listening to her. When they reached the core, the room was still intact. A massive cylindrical chamber glowing with fading power. Lines of ancient code scrolled across a central screen. Written in a language that predated human discovery, Lyra stepped forward, raised her hand, and the room lit up in blue fire. Her body flickered with matching energy. She placed her palm against the console. And the scrolling stopped. Cole watched in silence. Then something strange happened. The monitor shifted to show images, still frames, flashing quickly. A jungle, a ruined temple, a bright storm in orbit. Then a group of alien scientists standing around a small pod. Inside it, a glowing embryo with the same blue veins he'd seen in Lyra. She didn't blink. "This isn't the first time," she said. "There were others like me. Long ago, before humans reached space, before my kind even had a name. They buried the truth under laboratories and cages." "You think you were reborn from something ancient?" Cole said. "I know I was," she replied. "I can feel them now, all the past versions of myself scattered across time. Pieces of something that never died." Cole shook his head. "That sounds impossible." "So do I," she said softly, turning back to him before he could reply. Alarms screamed again, this time louder, sharper. The feed on the console showed a breach. The enemy ship had docked at the far end of the station. They were inside this time. They weren't sending scouts. "They're coming in full force," Cole said, raising his weapon. "What now?" Lyra didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the far wall and touched it. The metal melted like wax, revealing a small chamber hidden within. Inside was a thin metal rod, smooth, silver, with ancient carvings along the shaft. She took it in both hands, and the moment her fingers gripped it, the rod flared with energy. Her body lit up again, brighter than ever. Her hair lifted. Her feet left the ground slightly, and a hum vibrated through the floor. "What is that?" Cole asked, eyes wide. "A key," she said, "or a weapon, or both, against them." She looked him dead in the eyes. Against everyone, the floor beneath them shifted again, guiding them toward the upper platforms, toward the main control hub. The station was preparing for battle, and Lyra was its commander now. But before they moved, she paused, her voice softer. "Why did you help me, Cole? You could have walked away a dozen times." He hesitated, then said, "Because you asked. And because nobody else ever did." She stared at him for a long time. And for the first time since her transformation began, she smiled, not cold, not distant, but real. "Then don't stop now," she said, "because if I fall, there's no one else left to open the door for what comes next." And with that, the light in the station turned blue, and the war began. The sound of heavy boots thundered through the outer ring of the station. Metal scraping against metal, shouting voices echoing down dead hallways. The hunters had breached the upper levels, armed with pulse rifles, scanning tech, and cold orders retrieve. The asset, kill the human if necessary. Lyra stood at the top platform of the command hub, her body wrapped in flickering strands of blue energy. Her eyes scanned the monitors, not with panic, but with quiet understanding. The station was no longer a structure of steel and wires. It was a body, and she was its mind. Cole stood beside her, weapon raised, heart pounding harder than ever. "They're not stopping this time," he said. "They're sweeping every corridor, room by room. They know I'm no longer passive, Lyra said. That makes them afraid. They should be, Cole muttered, eyes darting toward the stairwell. Lyra reached out toward the console, and the floor beneath them began to shift panels. Slid open, revealing small spheres the size of marbles. They hovered for a moment, then scattered across the air like fireflies. Cole watched them zoom away into ventilation shafts and side tunnels. What are those? He asked. Cells, she said. Pieces of me, my defense. She turned away and took a deep breath, but her body flickered for a second, unstable again. Her knees buckled slightly, and Cole caught her before she collapsed. Her skin felt colder. Now, like the heat she had before, was draining fast. You're burning out, he said. I pushed too far too fast, she whispered. I'm still evolving, still catching up to what they forced into me. You don't have to fight alone, Cole said, helping her back to her feet. A loud explosion rang out from the lower level. One of the hunter squads had triggered a trap. The camera feeds flickered. Some showed hallways filling with gas. Others showed the lights flickering violently before bodies fell to the floor. Unmoving, they underestimated me, she said softly. They thought I was still a test subject. A thing in a box, and now you're the box, Cole added. She smirked. Just barely. But it faded quickly. Her expression changed, her voice going quiet. Cole. There's something I didn't tell you. He looked at her carefully. What? If they kill me, this version of me, they'll reset the project. Reset. They'll try again somewhere else. A new lab, another version. They'll learn from my resistance, and next time they'll make sure the girl doesn't escape. Cole gritted his teeth. So this isn't just about you. It's about stopping it from happening again. She nodded, eyes glowing brighter for a moment. That's why I need to end it here, now, with or without me. Another explosion rocked. The station this time closer, the metal door behind them dented inward. Soldiers were at the threshold. Weapons ready, open the door. One of them shouted, "Hand her over, and you'll live." Lyra stood tall, her voice clear. That's the problem. You've opened too many doors you should have left sealed. She raised her hand. And the ceiling cracked open with a violent groan. Blue energy spiraled out of her fingers, running along the floor and walls like lightning searching for fuel. The room lit up in waves of pulsing light, and then the station screamed. Every wall, every vent, every system became a weapon. The station lashed out in defense of its queen. Lights shattered. Doors crushed down on invaders, pressure vents opened in controlled bursts, sending troops flying into bulkheads. But Lyra dropped to one knee, coughing. Her hand trembled, and blood blew. Glowing blood slipped from her nose. Cole knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. You're dying. You can't hold this together much longer. I don't need to, she whispered. I just need to pass it on. Before he could ask what she meant, she reached up and pressed 2 fingers to his chest. A sharp pulse ran through him, cold and electric-like, a jolt straight to his spine. He gasped, falling backward, and for a moment he saw through her eyes. Not just the station, but the whole network. Every ship that had carried pieces of the experiment, every vault, every clone project, every dark lab hidden across systems. And then it faded. You linked me, he said. Stunned? Why? In case I fall, she said, barely above a whisper, you can finish what I started. The steel door behind them burst open, and smoke poured in. Voices shouted, footsteps rushed. Cole raised his weapon, ready to defend, but before he fired, Lyra stood again, and this time she wasn't human or alien or machine. She was something else entirely. The moment she stepped forward, the room fell silent. Even the soldiers who had broken through the door froze in place. Their weapons were raised. But their fingers stopped moving. Their visors glowed red. But the light dimmed, as if unsure what. It was seeing. Lyra didn't speak. She didn't raise her hand, or scream, or threaten. She simply was. Her body no longer flickered or pulsed with wild power. It flowed like it had always belonged to her. Like this version of her wasn't a result of escape or evolution, but arrival. She was no longer the girl in the cryochamber, not the subject they tried to cage. She was the answer they had feared the most, free, aware, and awake. Cole stood. Behind her, his breath stuck in his throat, watching as the hunters slowly stepped backward, one by one, their weapons trembling. One of them whispered, "She's not supposed to be conscious at this stage." Lyra heard it. She tilted her head slightly, and the air grew warmer. The lights around the intruders dimmed, then sparked, and then the metal in their rifles bent, slowly folded like soft wire. Not by heat, not by strength, but by sheer rejection. "You broke me 1,000 times," she said calmly, "but I remember every version you destroyed. And this time, I chose to come back." The soldiers turned to run, but the station didn't let them. Doors sealed, walls shifted, and the lights dimmed into deep blue. They were trapped, not by force, but by the will of the place they thought they owned. Cole stepped forward, staring at the people who had chased them through darkness. "This was never about science to you," he said. "You were building a weapon. And you were terrified of what would happen if it ever decided it. Didn't need you." No one answered. Lyra walked through the group like they weren't there. Her glow passed over their armor and made it fizzle. Systems shorting out, visors cracking. She didn't touch them. She didn't need to. Just being near her was enough to make the false authority fall apart. She moved into the heart of the station, where the power core pulsed slowly behind a glass wall. The ancient writing had returned to the surface. Glowing in circles around her feet, Cole stepped up beside her, uncertain what came next. "I could kill them," she said quietly. "All of them, not just here, but everywhere they've spread this project." "But you're not like them," Cole said. "You could choose something else." She looked at him, and for a long time she said nothing. Then she placed her hand on the glass wall of the power core, and the glow spread again, this time, calmer, slower, like a deep breath filling the lungs of something too big to see. The station began to shift again, but not into a trap, into a signal tower. Messages burst from it, silent and wide, racing into deep space, not coded, not encrypted, just true evidence. Files, footage of everything about what was done to her, to others like her, broadcast across systems. Worlds, networks, truths that no government could hide anymore. "They'll come after us harder now," Cole said. "You just made a lot of enemies." "Good," she replied. "Let them see what it feels like to be hunted." Then she reached out and touched his chest again, not to link, not to hurt, but to share. And Cole saw it, dozens of cryopods still hidden in vaults. Other subjects like her, not fully awake, not fully gone, lost in between, waiting. They locked the doors, she said. "Now we're going to open them all." He nodded, not as her protector now, but as her partner. The station's engines roared to life, engines no one knew it had. Walls peeled back, transforming the outer structure into something faster, sleeker, more alive. Lyra didn't just control the station anymore. She was the station, and Cole. He would be her voice as they launched into space, leaving the dead moon and the ruined labs behind. A message echoed across the stars, carried in the wake of a living signal that no one could silence anymore. "Open the door, human," she had once begged, but now she was the one opening them. One by one, planet by planet, and no one was ready for what was on the other side.